Hello and welcome to today's video. This time we'll be taking a look through and cleaning up my vintage Penguin poetry collection. So sit back, relax, and let's get to it. Right then, so it's been a while, but I've had these poetry Penguin books on the back burner for quite some time. Now, some of them will be from, this is the very end of the big collection that I bought last year. So some of them will have the date and time where the previous owner, Alan, bought them. In this case, in Sidmouth in 1976. And I've actually had these here in the studio for about 1 year, and I'm only now getting around to doing them because other stuff has come my way, as you can imagine, and I have to just do these things as well as I can get to them, really. But I've pulled down out of the loft my existing Penguin poetry collection, as well as the ones that I've got here. So hopefully combined, you're going to see virtually the entire run. There won't be that many missing, but there will be some. There will also be a handful, but not many, duplicates, which can go into my spares. So we'll just take them as they come. I've got 4 stacks to do. I reckon I've got approximately 100 books, of which half of them, I think, have probably at some point been through some of my cleaning process, but because I can't really remember when I actually did them, I'm just going to go back and check the whole lot, basically. Give them all a brush, give them all the once over and the treatment, and then we should be good to go, and I can work out which ones I'm missing. There's bound to be a few, and which ones I've got. I'll put them all into order, and then I'm going to do a dedicated video looking at the beautiful Penguin poetry. I mean, I'm not a real poetry buff. I quite like some of the modern poets. When I say modern, I mean sort of like 60s, rather than like the classical ones. But they are just beautiful books. This one's actually, this has actually been laminated, and I'm not sure. Oh, it's actually not laminated. It's just in a protective sleeve. So I don't know if that sleeve was put on by Penguin, or if it was put on by the previous owner. I can't imagine. Well, Penguin never did these sorts of things, but what it has done is kept the book in remarkably fresh condition. So I don't think that was part of it. Penguin Poets 98. If it was, I'm sure I would have known about it. But I've got to admit, it's a really, really nice fit. I'm going to just pause there and see online if that was part of the book. Yeah, well, I quickly checked online and I can't see anything about this particular one having like a fitted cover. I have never heard of Penguin actually releasing a book with a fitted cover like this. I'm sure it's been put on at the time of purchase, and it's really has done its job. It stopped it from aging in the usual way, but I'm pretty sure that that's been done by the person who first bought the book, just to keep it in really nice shape, and I'd say it was incredibly successful at doing that. But ultimately, you can see when you take it off, the cover is a bit worn there, but it's kept the book underneath in remarkably fresh condition. That is that's an absolute beauty, that one. That is really nice. Not all of them are going to be like that. Here's one of the modern poets, and modern European poets at that, and I think it's the Penguin modern poets that are a bit more collectible these days. As I said, I don't really know a lot about poetry. There's a couple. There's one called The Mersey Sound, which was a first, and it had a reprint, and both are sort of equal sort of money, really. They're both quite scarce. I've got a copy of that one in here. These are all first Penguin printings, as you would imagine. And I know I have got them right back to poetry number 1, which is Tennyson, I think it is. It's Tennyson. The Common Muse, number 89, a big thick one. But as I said, we've got about 100 to go through here today, which isn't too bad. And then I'm going to film a dedicated poetry video tomorrow for the main channel, where we take a little look at these. And then sadly, this is another run that has to go into storage. I haven't got the shelf space for these. They've been sat on top. What I had was sat on top of a bookcase in the loft, and I'm trying to empty my loft out. So slowly but surely. So these sadly are not going to be after I've filmed them and photographed them, because they are beautiful. They're going to have to go into storage in a couple of boxes just for the next couple of years till I move house. Then everything is coming out onto dedicated shelves in a purpose-built library. That is the plan anyway. Warden somebody Chamber D. Chamberlain, Sheffield. Very neat previous owner's name, but it's not part of the book for me. That's a detracting mark, so I want to get rid of it. So yeah, as you watch this, with a bit of luck, I would have already been and bought a Penguin crime collection. I don't know, haven't seen it yet. I've seen some photos of it, but I haven't actually seen it in the flesh. I've not had an opportunity to check if a book is a particular print and things like that. So it's up in the air, but I am going to be going to look at a potential Penguin crime collection, and I'm hoping to buy it if it all checks out. And that, I think, is going to be about 10 boxes of books, maybe a little less, but I think it's probably the best part of 1,000 books, I think. News receipt. Yeah, I think it'll be about 1,000 books, approximately, all crime, if you can believe it. There's a little bit of general fiction, but not much. The only thing is, looking at the pictures, condition is very much up and down. So I'm going to have to take that into consideration and make the person an offer and see what she says. But yes, you will see something on the main channel about that collection if I do end up getting it. But I am hopeful. A little bit of something inside there, plus a 12.5p previous price, second-hand bookshop price, I guess. The Metaphysical Poets. Lovely. So longer contemporary poems, D87. This is a nice condition one. This is pretty nice. 24th of July, 76. Stroud. That's where this came from. That is a beauty. That is beautiful. I think that was one I already had, but not in that lovely shape. And this is an earlyish one, number 33, but it's got some tape on. So let's just see if this old tape will come off first of all. As we know, one of the trademarks of Alan's collection was that books which had like cuts in the spine or small tears or splits, he would cover with Magi tape or tape. Thankfully, the tape has aged over the years since he did it 50 years ago, and the tapes thankfully comes off quite easily, just as that did. Not always. There was a couple of main series books where that struggled with a bit, but on the whole they were all right. A little bit of writing down the bottom here. Someone making a note of a date or something. 1884. Before my time, Governor. Yep. 10p in here. This one is a little bit lower grade than what we've seen. The corner out of the front cover, which has caused these first few pages to be not so nice. Yeah, so not ideal, that one, but it's better than not having a copy at all, even though it is a bit worn, that one. And to this one, which is absolutely lovely. Look at that. That is a beauty. I've never really tried to track down the Penguin poetry, and I didn't buy all of Alan's collection. I only asked for the books which I was missing, rather than buying them all. I know people collect the sort of the dream period when the books are like these. They're like really colourful covers. This is a slightly more worn one here again. Australian verse. Yeah, a little bit more worn, that one, but overall not too bad. Yeah, they're collected mainly for these beautiful jackets, although that's not a great example, but you know what I mean. We'll see them all in this video, and there are some absolutely beautiful books. They really are, some of these poetry books. Here's a nice one, look at that. Bit of a tear up there, possibly where there was a price sticker or something. Yep, that's okay. Here's one of the regular Penguin Modern Poets series, and these are dotted around numerically amongst sort of the main Penguin list. This one's got 7.5p inside. It also has a poem inside, if you can believe it. So someone evidently thought they were a bit of a modern poet. Look at this. Oh well, I'm not sure who wrote that. It's not signed, although I believe I seem to remember one of my Penguin Modern Poets is signed by quite a collectible poet. And we'll see if we can find that one when we work our way through these today. I'll know it when I see it. And it is one of the Modern Poets series. Bookmark. Oh. And another bookmark. There we are. 2nd of February 74 in Bisley. Now, where's Bisley? It sounds Scottish, doesn't it? But that is just a guess. This one's actually, let's come away. The block has come away. So we might be digging the glue out. Yeah, this one doesn't seem to have been bound very well. Yeah, it is actually just this last bit. So I wasn't expecting to do any gluing today, but I do have the glue on standby. And we could see if we can just slide this back together. Okay. And that bit, yeah, make sure we get it in the right way. That would be a bit embarrassing, wouldn't it? So whether that will actually set, I don't know. It is dedicated bookbinder's glue, and it is very, very good. But for all I know, in 2 or 3 years' time, if I'm looking through this book, it may just pop out again. But for now, I think that might do the trick, and it might keep it in one place. But I wouldn't like to bet on it. Let's put it that way. Right, so yeah, I wasn't expecting to do any gluing today. Right, John Donne, this is an early-ish one, D13. This was the original sort of design, or actually not the original design, the sort of the second design. The first design, look at that, was much more plain. So this one also needs, it's got no marks in, but this also needs a glue. I can't believe it. Look at that, 2 on the trot. Who would have thought it? I'll be reasonably generous here. Time that's squidged in. I quite like this design, this early-ish design. It's pretty nice. Yeah, it's all right. A few blotches on the cover, but you know, it is what it is. All right. Don't know if we're going to have any more repair work to do today. Right, Penguin Book of French verse. First of all, 10p on the front. Let's get that off. I wasn't into this, but it seems the paper isn't like really great quality on this particular book, and the covers don't feel very sturdy. They feel just like quite thin. Yeah, this is number 50s. This is 1960s, 1961. Yeah, quite a cheaply produced book. That's quite interesting. Wonder if others from that period are going to be the same. Right, selected poems. This has got 20p on the front. Very thin little volume, that one. It's okay. I'll pull out a little wedge of these. I'm sort of not quite doing these in strict order, but these are some of from my original collection. I suspect these have already been cleaned, although look, maybe not. Maybe they haven't been through the process. I was going to give them all a brush anyway, but evidently some of these haven't been repaired. And this one just fell apart in my hand. I think that's probably enough. Yeah, this definitely hasn't been through the thing, because it's got £1.75 inside, so maybe this wasn't one of mine. I don't know. As I said, I don't remember ever cleaning my Penguin poetry books. As you can imagine, buying collections, some came my way, but I don't really remember ever cleaning them per se, like in a video or anything. So chances are I haven't. I've never cleaned them. And that's why even the ones from the collection are potentially going to have some work to do on them, But that's okay. We've saved that one at least, which is okay. Poems for 1951, like the prize-winning entries for the Festival of Britain competition. So that was, of course, in 1951. And Penguin evidently thought this was a book worthy of competition. It was a huge thing, the 1951 Festival of Britain. People don't really realise now, but it was enormous. And I certainly hope I'm around for 2051, 26 years' time. There's a chance to see the Festival of Britain. My parents went to the 51 festival. They were both children at the time. And there's plenty of video footage on YouTube of the festival, but the buildings at the end of the festival were knocked down, all except Festival Hall, so that's still there, but everything else was knocked down. I guess the land was just too valuable, but yeah, I would have loved to have gone to that. And it's great to collect items related to the Festival of Britain these days. It's a nice fun thing to collect. I pick stuff up all the time when I come across it. See, this is much better condition. Look at that, nice and bright. Very, very nice. The only thing wrong with this one is a tiny little bit of top of the spine coming away. So I think I've actually got a little dab of blue right on the end here. And I think that'll sort that out. Like so. Excellent. And these books, they're like buff. They're like, how can you describe it? It's a bit like blotting paper, these ones. The covers are a particular style, This is quite interesting. So this one, look at this. This came from a book dealer, Richard Williams, who did the Dragon Bee bibliographies. I don't know. Please add to pay 46p. So he paid £2 for that. So there we go, an old Richard Williams invoice. And this one has also got a tiny bit at the bottom of the spine there. Number 16. As we'll see, I can't remember how many. I know number 1 is in a different format to that. I don't know if any of the other ones are. Maybe the first 3 or 4, possibly. I honestly can't remember. But this was the design for a while. That was absolutely fine. Alexander Pope. Number 14. Yeah, see, these are okay. These aren't really requiring any work. So I suspect that these ones, number 12, were ones that I'd already had the chance to clean. Or maybe I just cleaned them when they came my way. I don't know. Well, that one's got an old 175 on, so that one definitely didn't get put through the process. I don't think any of them have had their top edges cleaned at all. But they may well have been gone through, at least at some point. Right, Apollinaire, selected poems. 15th of August, 74, in London. A bit of dirt there, see if we can lighten that. No, So then stained in the back there just a little bit. Quite a thin little volume. 12p, 12 watt. Okay. Yet more comic and curious verse. 13p on this one. Whatever happens, it doesn't matter how long this video runs, we are going to be doing the whole lot. We're not going to split this into two. It's going to be all the Penguin poetry in the one hit, however long it takes. Because with what's incoming on the horizon in just a few weeks' time, they need to be done and out of the studio here, so I can. I've got room ready for potentially the Penguin Crime collection. So it will be done. Whatever we have here will be done. The thin little volume, not one I'm familiar with at all, as is this. It's like a gold sort of tint on that one, isn't it? That's really nice. Very nice indeed. Gorgeous, that one. 69, and just says the Penguin Poets, but it looks like a modern poet format, but it's not. I don't think. Well, it doesn't say modern poets. It's just in a modern poet format. A little bit the worse for wear. A couple of bent over corners here. Oh, look. To Michael with best wishes from Warren. And then Maria, whatever that name is, York, 1969. Oh well. Wonder what the connection is. If it was just bought as a gift and given to somebody. But quite interesting that. So there you go. One more, and then I'll take a short break. So the Penguin Book of Italian verse. Another one of those beautiful covers. Cheltenham. When was this then? Just curious for the age. 1958. Brilliant. Right, let's take a short break. Right, cracking on then. That's the author. In one of these, there's a signature by him. Ferengletti or Ferenghetti. There it is, yeah. Look, Lawrence Ferenghetti. Worcester, October 88. So, look at that. That's pretty cool, isn't it? A bit of a cult figure from what I hear. So that's very cool, that one. I don't have lots of signed penguins, but that is one that I do have. Interesting jacket, isn't it? Amazing. They really sort of went to town, didn't they, with their book jackets on these. This is evidently a run from my collection that I had, that I've already been through by the look of it, because they're not needing so much work. Don't think that's an author somehow. Be nice. Charles Bukowski, he's quite collectible, isn't he? This is one of the more expensive ones, the Mersey Sound. This, I think, is the first. Yeah, this is the first. They did do a reprint. They're both pretty expensive. I recently sold a reprint for a tenner of this one. It also had a bit of a faded spine, a bit like mine, but this one in particular, for some reason, is really, really sought after. So if you ever come across it, bear that in mind. Poetry of the 40s. It's a bit more robust. Oh, this is number 100. Poetry 100. I don't think the numbering goes much past 100 before it starts to become ISBN, and I draw the line at those. For me, I keep these pre-ISBN ones just in the name of completeness with my Penguin library, really, because, as I said, I'm not really a poetry person. I have sat down and read them, but it's not something I pull off the shelf and decide to read, if you know what I mean. But when they're as beautiful looking as that, I mean, it's hard to turn them down, isn't it? That has elements of it being a bit like a Puffin storybook, actually. I'm thinking Francis Hodgson Burnett's Secret Garden. That's what that reminds me of. Do you remember that, The Secret Garden? Holderlin. I think that's how you pronounce that. I'm guessing it's German. Holderlin. Yeah, none of these need any work, so I'm pretty sure these must have all come from my collection already, and they have had at least a cursory go through because they're not needing any work. Other men's flowers, except of course a brush in a minute. Now that one does. It's got a couple of turned over pages there where it's concertinaed a little bit. There we are. Bill, what do you want? 1960, that one. This one's a little... now that's interesting because we've done one of these, haven't we? Yet more comic verse. Yes, down is... that's narrative. There we are. Yeah, we have another copy of this. So I suspect when I asked Alan's grandson he asked me which ones I wanted, I put this one down because it's on my list at the moment as an upgrade. So that is why we've seen that one twice. Hilaire Belloc, collected verse. Yeah, none of these have all been done, so that's good. That's saving us quite a lot of work because we've still got quite a bit out there to do. Yeah, that's okay. More comic and curious verse. Now this one we've also seen, haven't we? Longer contemporary poems, number 87. So one of those will be a double time I compare it. Probably that one there, I reckon. Malmari. This one's got a bit of a faded spine on this, and a bit of foxing. A bit of the old foxing. But that's okay. The Penguin Book of Elizabethan verse, number 83. Very nice. Right. English, mid-century English poetry, 1940 to 1960. Yeah, all of these didn't need any real work. Whether it will carry on like that, I don't know. Yeah, that's okay. Well, let's just get the next wedge and see how we get on. So back to some slightly earlier ones now. This is number 47. And this is back to, from the collection. So back to rubbing out the date and the place of purchase. Which is what it is. Now I think what I might do there in the distance, and you may not hear it too badly, but in the distance it sounds as if there's some grass being cut, and I think it's like the local council doing an area which is particularly bad at the moment, and I suspect it's going to take them a good hour or so to actually do it, and I'd rather wait for them to finish and go and do something else before we carry on. So I'm just going to stop it again there, and I'll be back. Okay, so we're back in the studio, and it does appear as if the whatever they were doing, it was some sort of gardening, has been done. So that's good. While ironically, you talk about an ongoing story. Ironically, whilst I was taking a little break, I caught up on my emails, and I'm now not so certain that I'll be picking up the crime collection next week. So we'll have to see. There's been a bit of that's a bit rough, isn't it? There's been a slight complication, but we'll see what happens. I still have a big collection that I'm looking at the end of the month, which is potentially in the thousands of books. So we'll have to see what happens. But this would have been really good because it was all crime related. So there would have been some nice upgrades by the look of it, anyway. But there was also some quite low grade stuff as well. But we'll see. We shall see. That's all we can do now. Yeah, these are from from Alan's collection, so these need a little bit more work. Fiction House in Swindon, wherever that is. Maybe that was a second-hand bookshop of some sort. Not one I've heard of before. Selected poems. A shilling, it said. Yes, quite a nice summer's day here in the UK as I film this, and there's a fair few people working in their gardens and doing bits and pieces, as you might expect. When the weather is nice, that's the time to get these things done. Nice golden covers on this one. There we are. Quite a thick one, this, for poetry. 30p. Now we are still going to have to give all of these a brush at the end of the video, but that's okay, we can do that. Lorca. Okay. There we are. New Zealand verse. Picked up in Totnes. Yeah, used to be a couple of good bookshops in Totnes. Don't think, I mean, there's an Oxfam there now. There used to be a really good one on Totnes 4th Street, but that's gone now. But there is an Oxfam dedicated bookshop in Totnes and another second-hand bookshop. But neither of them are worth going out your way for. But they're not bad, you know. It's more than some places have got. And Totnes has got a bit of a visitor's vibe to it, you know. Yeah, that's okay. Lovely. 4 Greek poets. These are quite slim type volumes, these actually. But they're cleaning up all right. Oh, that's actually got a little bit of tape in the corner there. There we go. There we are. Another thin little one, also with a bit of tape on the front here. Glad to see this tape comes off, but the reason he did it was because just had a tiny little nick there, just coming out, just ever so slightly, which is why he put the tape on to sort of cover it up. There we are. German verse. Now, I don't think we've got that many more that were from Alan's collection. Maybe a half a dozen or so, and then I think it's the tail end of the ones I already had. So there may not be that much left to do, but we'll see. Apart from the brush, of course, at the end. Won't be doing any polishing today. I don't think any of these warrant it, and a lot of them cannot be touched in that way, you know, because they've got very soft paper covers in effect. A little bit on the back there come away. There's nothing really for me to reattach there, sadly. I'll sort of re-glued that back down, but not to worry. What's all this? Right, quite a bit of writing there, and I'm not going to be taking all of that out. Someone's taken a little quote from one of the poems, by the looks of it. That's what it looks like to me. So yeah, I won't interfere with that. Just leave that there for Byron. Abergavenny, 7th of January 75. I bet it was cold at the time. There we are. Shelley. Yeah, it's mainly been pencil marks in. Thankfully pencil, and not pen. Well, we can't do much about the pen, can we? Spanish verse, 15p on the cover. Oh, and inside, 16th of April, 74, painting. Chipping Camden. I don't know if this was the last one from the collection or not, but certainly it might be. It's got some tape there at the back. Look at this. Ugh. Oh, typical, eh? Well, it's coming off, but it's slow work. Yeah, worse down the bottom here. That's why it was taped, because the spines come away. Absolutely awful bit of glue. Tape rather. Awful that. Okay, I think we're going to put a trench of glue in there and hope for the best. There we go. That's lovely. Yeah, not perfect, but you know. Oh, look, there's tape in the front as well. Dear. Oh dear. Well, let's try and get it out. See, this side, once again, it's almost come away of its own accord. Ugh. Mucky stuff, but we'll put another tranche of glue in there, and hopefully that'll keep it in one piece. But when I do my bibliography checklist, I'll remember that this one's a bit on the low grade side. But That's okay. Coleridge, number 55. Could do with a better copy. Right. So let's pull another one. Now I suspect that these are all ones that I have already done. Maybe not really thoroughly, but I do believe they've been through the process. These did not come from Alan's collection. These are separate, and these go all the way back to number 1. So yeah, see, if I'd have done these properly, that would have been corrected. I would have flattened that out, you know. But apart from that, he's all right. Yeah, he's okay. These are quite early. These are the earliest ones, the earliest 3. This is the original design. So it was just 3 that were like this format, and these were all sort of wartime editions. Yeah, this one's just coming away as well, just a little bit. There we are. Wordsworth, number 2. Yeah, these are, I think, wartime, I think. Let's have a little gander. 1943, yeah. And then this was number 1, Tennyson. This was Penguin Poet number 1. There we are. Lovely. And we've got a few later ones again. Robert Frost. So as I said, I wanted to do the whole lot in one video today, and I think it's going to work out just about right. Probably just a little over an hour long, which is perfect for these videos. And even if I don't end up getting that collection, I have already filmed next week's video, which, don't shoot me, but it's going to be a 3rd and final Folio Society video, so don't kill me. But that's what's coming up next week. Then after that, it's 1970s penguins, and they're already sort of sorted by author. I just need to zip through and give them the final once over before I'm actually going to be offering these up for sale. They're all sort of spares from the collection, which it's, you know, post 1970. I'm very selective about what I collect in the world of penguin, and these ones are ones which I've decided not to keep myself, just purely for space reasons, because you just can't keep it all. It's the simple truth. You cannot keep it all. Yeah, these are all ones from my existing collection. So if you are interested in a proper run through of these in numerical order, and I'll talk about any interesting facts as we go along, look out for a dedicated penguin poetry video over on the main channel within the next sort of couple of weeks, because now that I've got these all out, and once I've finished cleaning them, I'll put them into order, and then I'm going to basically, it's going to be one of my, maybe not the next video, but it's going to be a video that I'm going to be shooting quite soon, and popping out on the main channel in a couple of weeks' time. Yeah, these are all absolutely fine and very, very beautiful. So you can certainly see the attraction of collecting these with their gorgeous covers. They're very, very nice indeed. But not always the easiest to find in tip-top shape, is what I've found. But you've seen the whole run here today. Well, except the ones I'm missing, of course. Of which there are some. I'm certain there are some. Haven't got them all, but we got most of them. There we are. And the last one, Poetry of the 30s. Beautiful. Right, so next step then, let's give them the brush. Right then, let's finish these off with a final brush down. I don't think these are going to be too bad to do, but sometimes you never can tell. There are a few older ones in here, but I think we're going to be all right. We've got 5 stacks to get through. So, as I said, looking ahead a little bit then, I have already filmed but not edited the third and so far the final part of my Folio Society acquisitions of late. So they're all done now, which is good. If you didn't see my video on the history of the Folio Society and how to collect them, that's doing great guns over on the main channel, so do go and check that one out. I'm very proud of that one. It was highly produced and scripted and took a long time, and there's a lot of research in there, but it's also full of really useful information, I would hope. So there we are. Do let me know if you've been tempted to start collecting Folio Society on the back of that video. I'd be very curious to hear that. Anyway, so next week is Folio Society Part 3, as I said, already filmed. Then potentially I've got 2 options. I've got 1970s penguins, which I need to clear, and I think that's going to be a double video, to be honest, although it is mainly just taking out pencil pricing and stuff, because I'm going to be selling all those 70s penguins. I think pretty much, because I need to clear them, I'm just going to sell them £2.50 across the board. There's a lot of absolutely beautiful mint sort of copies there as well, so I think they're going to be selling pretty well, although they are not vintage, they are modern. And then what have I got left? Well, I may have a penguin crime collection. I may not. I shall have to wait and see now what happens. Sort of a little bit in the lap of the gods, but we'll see. We'll just see what the seller wants to do. I thought it was all sort of a done deal and I was set to go and collect it, but evidently that's now not going to be the case. So there may be a small spanner in the works. I do still have a bit of a road trip plan though for this time next week, where I'm going up to London, and I'm also visiting at least one pretty cool second-hand bookshop. Apparently it's pretty cool, been around a long time in London, so I'm going to be paying them a visit, which should be cool. I haven't done any bookshop visits for ages, so it'll be good to do a bit of that. That was particularly one particularly dusty one there. Yeah, so if I don't have that, I've got to at least clean and get the studio as empty as possible before the end of the month, because potentially I am buying a very, very big penguin book collection at that point, and I'm going to need, it could be as much as 4,000 books. So I'm going to need every little inch of room in here. Plus, I'm probably going to have to end up putting some books in storage. So whatever happens, I can't dilly-dally. I need to get the books cleaned, and that's exactly what we're doing here, Right, last little stack here. So I hope you've enjoyed something a little bit different looking at these penguin poetry books today. Certainly I'm pleased that I finally got these done, because they were without a doubt overdue. But it was the very last bit of that big collection from last year, so it seems a good time to put these to bed, as it were, and that collection to bed, with a couple of new ones potentially on the horizon. Of course, I may end up buying neither of them, in which case, we'll be back to doing bits from the old collection again, which is absolutely fine. I still don't think I'm going to be running out of books anytime soon, but having the new collections come in obviously gives me new stuff to clean, which is always great. Anyway, thank you very much for watching today. I hope you've enjoyed this one. Do hit the subscribe if you've not already for regular vintage cleaning content, and I'll look forward to seeing you again very soon. Bye.